Okay, so I have all of my pieces done. I've got my 2 sleeves finished, my 2 front panels, and my back panel. So we are now ready to start sewing our pieces together to create our cardigan. So I'm just going to set aside the sleeves here for a moment and go back to focusing on our 3 blocks, which is what this video really is a focus on. So how we're going to do this is, right now I've got my right sides facing up, and the inside, this is the wrong side. So basically, as if you could open the cardigan like that. So we're going to start off by sewing up the shoulder seams. So you're going to flip them up like this, just so you guys can see here. So what we're going to do is we're going to sew the top down first. Then we will introduce the sleeves and then fold everything over. But we need to take a look at another measurement right now. So if we're going to sew the tops of our shoulders here, if we go all the way to the end here, our neck opening is pretty small. So this is where we have to go back and refer to our measurement chart. So I'm gonna grab mine here. And so we need to find the neck width. Let me just grab this here so you guys can see. So I've got a couple of measurements here. I've got neck width and neck circumference. So the neck width is basically, so for my size here, it's 3 1/4 inches. It's just basically, if you were to measure the back of the neck here, how long that would be. Now that's the measurement we're going to use for this particular style cardigan. If you were working on a raglan style cardigan, which I've talked about before in some of the crochet quick chats, then you would focus on the neck circumference, because that will really give the shaping. Let me just show you guys here. So that's when we would really create 4 sides, so to speak, to that neck hole. So that's where the circumference would come into play. For this style, we just need the neck width. So for this style, my neck width is going to be 3 1/2 inches. And for those on metric, it would be 8.5 centimeters. Okay? Whoops, I meant to put an R there, just to bring that up here. So your neck width is 3 1/2 inches or 8.5 centimeters. What we're going to do is we're going to take that number and we're going to divide it in 2. So for me, I'm working on inches. So 3 1/2 divided by 2 is going to be 1 inch and 5/8. Okay? Now this number is important because this is the amount of space we're going to leave on either side of the collar to create room for the neck to sit. Now, of course, I always like to leave a little bit extra just to give us some ease of movement. So for those of you that sew and understand putting together garments, we always add something called ease, and that's a little extra room for us to move. So right here, this measurement right here would be 1 1/2 inches, and this little extra notch would be 1 inch and 5/8. So just to give it a little bit more ease around the neck, I'm actually just going to go right up to 2 inches on each side. And that's, some people might think that's quite large, but I also want to do a little trim around the neck for a collar, which is going to bring that in anyway. So I think 2 inches is great. So what we're going to do, just get this out of the way here for a second. So in order to find the perfect center part, you are going to take out your sides here, take your back panel and fold it in half. Okay, just like that. And you might want to grab a little something to mark that half. So once you've got it folded nicely in half, then right at the bend here, right where it folds, we're going to insert that stitch marker. So now we know where the center is. And so from the center, I'm going to measure 2 inches on each side. Okay. So from this side to here, there's 2 inches. And then if I take that same 2 inches and I go to here, so 2 inches and 2 inches, this is going to be my neck hole. So what I would recommend is grab 2 more stitch markers. Okay, so I've got 2 more stitch markers here. And so I'm going to go back and I'm going to take that measurement again. Let me just zoom in here for you guys. So I'm starting from the center and I'm measuring 2. And then I'm just making sure that I mark it with a stitch marker. And you can use anything you've got around, safety pins, bobby pins. There we go. And now I'm going to go to the other side of my center. So there's my 2-inch mark, and I'm going to go right to there. And that is where my next stitch marker will go. Perfect. Okay, so now I've got the center of my back and the end of my shoulders. So now I'm ready to sew my front panels on. So again, we're going to sew them this way. So now this panel is going to get sewn from the end to that stitch marker. So that will leave this part open. This side is going to get sewn from the end to this stitch marker. Now, right now I have the wrong sides facing up. So what I would do is I would just take them like that. So now that the right sides are facing each other, and now you can begin your sewing. So many of you have seen me do lots of sewing of pieces on this channel. So I'm not going to go through this with you here, but it's just a basic whip stitch. So just cut a length that you need. I always like doing at least twice. And then you're going to thread your yarn needle, just like that. And you're going to make sure that these sit nice and flush to each other. And you're just going to match it row by row. So it should be the same number of rows here from the back panel to the front panel. And so you're going to just take a nice, you can do a whip stitch where you're just kind of coming in from the back and to the front, or you can do a mattress stitch, whatever is preferable to you. Just make sure that they are nice and evenly matched. And once you get to your stitch marker, that is where you will stop sewing. Then you will do the same thing to the other side. And I like to start from the end and work my way in. And once you reach that stitch marker, you will stop sewing. Once you're done, then you will be able to flip your work over to the right side, and now your front panels will be attached. Once you're done that, then meet me back here, and I'm just going to talk you through how to place your sleeves, and then we're going to fold the whole thing over and finish off the basic shell of your cardigan. So pretty straightforward. So go ahead and sew in your front panels, and I'll meet you back here in a little bit. Okay, so I've sewn my 2 shoulder seams together. So I've got something that looks like this, and my wrong sides are facing out, by the way. So that is now secured. And so now it's time to sew our sleeves. So I'm just gonna put this out like this. Actually, I'll turn it this way. So this is the inside of the cardigan. So when you fold it down, so you see your seams should just kind of blend very nicely in there. Okay, for now we're still going to keep it open. We need to now sew on our sleeves. So what we're going to do is something similar to what we did with our back panel. You're going to take your sleeve, and the length is this way, and you're going to fold it in half. Okay, and so this is what forms the tube of the sleeve. And so same idea. At this point, you're going to find the middle point here. You're just going to mark that. Okay, so that when you open it up, you can line up the center of that sleeve right to the shoulder point. I'm going to do the same thing with the other sleeve. I'm just going to, and of course, make sure it's the wrong side that's facing up. And when you fold it over, you're just going to place a marker in that center spot there, just like that. So now when you open it up, you can line up your center, the center of your sleeve, or actually the tip top of your shoulder there of the sleeve, and you're going to match it up with exactly where your seams meet on your bodice here. Okay, so I'm just kind of attaching them loosely like that. You can use safety pins if you like. And so then what I'll do is I will actually take 2 pins and secure them down here. The other thing you can do is, now that you've got your center, so what'll happen is you place them this way, so right sides are facing together. And you can also, to make it super accurate, is count the number of stitches from your center to the end. And hopefully they're the same number of stitches. And so then you just want to find this number of stitches. You're going to count back this way. And you can put a little marker here if you like. And that way you'll know that each stitch is going to match perfectly. So see how you can see the stitches there? And that will give you a nice even count. And you can do the same thing on the other side and just mark it. And that way, as you sew, you will know that you're going to sew it evenly. So you're going to do that on this side. And then when you're done there, you're going to come to the other side and sew on the other sleeve. Remember, anytime you sew things on, make sure that you have the right sides facing each other. So we're essentially sewing everything from the inside, and then we're going to fold it over. So that is the next step. Make sure you mark your spots accordingly, and then you're going to sew the 2 sleeves together. And then I will meet you back here. We're going to fold the whole thing over, and then we're going to finish sewing up the side seams of your cardigan, and the basic block will be complete. Okay, so I've finished sewing my sleeves. My shoulders are sewn, and now is the magical moment. So this is the wrong side that's facing up. So I'm just going to take these 2 panels and I'm going to fold them down so the right sides are forward. And you can see the sleeves have also folded down as well. So that is the making of your cardigan. Okay, so all that's left to do now to construct the main body is we're now going to seam up the bottom of the sleeves, and we're going to keep going down the side. Then you do the same thing on the other side. So you're going to seam up the side here and then continue up along the inside edge of the sleeve. And now you'll actually have a working cardigan, so to speak. So I'm just going to take that out because we don't need it there. Now, remember, this is currently right side facing out. So we are going to fold it this way with the wrong sides facing out. So I'm going to do that so that all the right sides are facing upwards now. We're going to fold the front panels down just like that. And then your sleeves will be folded down just like that. Okay, so then you can see it's going to all match up nicely and evenly. Okay, and so I've got my piece of yarn here, and I'm actually just down to the wire. So this worked out perfect because any added trim we're going to work out in the pink color. So one skein will work out perfectly for a baby cardigan. So you can start from the bottom here of your back panel and your front panel, go up and work along the sleeve, or you can start at the edge of your sleeve, which I like to do. just start at the edge of your sleeve and then work your way down. So you're going to be working into the sides of rows. Just make sure that they line up really nicely, and so that when you get to the underarm part, that corner matches up really well. So that's it. You're going to now sew up these side seams and sleeves, and then your cardigan technically is done, but it's not finished. So the finishing touches are things like the bottom trim, which is going to give us just a little bit more length. And then we're going to go and actually finish off a nice little collar here. So I'm off to sew in my side seams, and then I'll meet you back here to add the finishing touches. Okay, so I have finished sewing up my side seams, and now I sewed in as many of my ends. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to turn it right side out. So I'm going to turn my sleeve in there. Okay, and there we have it. So you can see it just fit really nicely there. We've got a really nice even seam under the sleeve and down along the side there. So that's the outside, and that is the inside. And that is our 3-block cardigan complete. So it's a functional cardigan. Now, of course, we've got to have some finishing touches here. So what I want to do is I actually want to add 1 more inch in length to the bottom by adding a trim here. And this will give me a proper 7-inch length, which is what I needed for my cardigan. So depending on your size, you may want to leave yours as is. Or you might decide that actually, yes, you do want to add more in length, and this is where you can do it. So we're going to create a little bit of a trim, and we're actually going to work it all the way around with all 3 pieces attached, which will make it look nice. So that's why it's important we turn it right side out. And I am now out of my white. Like, this is all I have left, which is fine because I am going to bring my pink yarn here. And so I'm going to do my trim in the pink because I feel that's going to anchor the pink color to the cardigan. So I'm going to take my pink yarn and I'm going to place a slip knot on my hook. And so what I'm going to do is, because I'm going to start with the right side facing out, I am going to start on this edge here. So I'm just going to find that very first stitch, or I guess the last stitch of this pink row, which is right there. It's a little loose there. I'm going to insert my hook, and I'm just going to slip stitch to join the yarn, just like that. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're just going to single crochet into the sides of all of these rows. So you can see some of the rows have a little ridge, some of them have a little valley here. So I've slip stitched to join. I am going to chain 1 just to give me a little bit of height here. And then I'm going to go back into that stitch and I'm going to single crochet. And the first stitch is probably going to stretch a little bit at the beginning, and that's okay. I'm trying to work over that tail. And then I'm going to single crochet, just like that. So I've worked into the side of the first row here. And now I just want to insert my hook into the side of the next row. So that's where we have the white. So you don't actually have stitches to work into. So you just want to find a spot that you can insert your hook. I always try and make sure I have at least 2 loops that I'm working under. And I'm going to single crochet. And this is what I'm going to do all the way around the bottom of my cardigan. So now the next row is the pink row. So I'm going to find a spot that I think would look good. And I'm going to single crochet into there. And as I go along, I always just kind of stop and look to make sure that it's sitting nice and flush and relaxed. And so now what I'm going to do is I have a little valley here. I'm just going to work into there and single crochet. And then the next one I'm going to work into is where that ridge is there. So you can see that loop right there. Insert, single crochet. And now I'm back into the valley row. So the valley is like the little dip in. And then the next one, see how it creates those loops there? It looks like a little braid. And that's how I know I'm going to place one stitch into the side of each row. And again, I just stop, make sure it's not bunching or puckering. And I'm pretty happy with that. So you're going to work right over your seams all the way around to the other side until you get to the end of that corner. And once you're there, I'm going to meet up with you because I'm going to show you how we're going to create a ribbed bottom edge to our cardigan. Okay, so I've done my row of single crochets and you can really see how that pink just really ties everything in. So what we're going to do now is I've come up to the end of the first row, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to turn my work. And now we are going to work double crochets, and now we have stitches to work into, so it should be a little easier. So I'm just going to yarn over and go right away into the very next stitch. That chain 3 will count as a stitch. I'm just going to double crochet. And that's basically it. That's what I'm going to do into each and every single stitch all the way around the edge. Okay, so you're going to get a little bit of a thicker band there. Okay, I've finished row 2 of my trim here. And if you were happy with the length it gives you, you can stop here. I am not. So I'm going to show you now how we're going to create a ribbed edging. See how pretty that is just on its own? The ribbed edging is going to use front post and back post double crochets. And this is what I'm going to use to just give it a little bit more definition. And you can use as many rows of this stitch as you see fit. So I'm going to begin again by chaining 3, 1, 2, and 3. And I'll turn my work. And into the very next stitch, we are going to do a front post double crochet. So instead of working into the stitch, we're going to work around the post. So we'll yarn over as usual. We'll insert our hook between those posts and push through. So that pushes that post to the front, and that's why it's called a front post double crochet. Then we just yarn over as usual and just kind of pull it up a little bit, and then pull through 2 and pull through the final 2, just like a regular double crochet stitch. Into the next stitch, we are going to do a back post double crochet. So we're going to yarn over, but we're going to go in through the back in order to push the post to the back. Then yarn over and pull your loop through, just being careful not to catch it on anything else. And then just pull it up a little bit and then resolve like a regular double crochet stitch. So you've got your chain 3 at the beginning, which is getting hidden there. Then you've got your front post double crochet and you've got your back post double crochet. That is what you're going to keep alternating all the way down to the end of the row. So I'm going to do the next one again, which is going to be a front post double crochet. So I'm going to yarn over, insert to go behind the post, pull up that loop, and then resolve like a double crochet. And then the next one is going to be a back post double crochet. I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to go in through the back in order to push that post to the back. Just like that. And then pull through 2 and pull through 2. So I've done a few here. So from far you can see that the front post ridges are popping to the front, which is exactly what we want. So that is the repeat we're going to do all the way to the end. And once you get to the end, if you want to repeat this row to give you a little bit more length, which is what I'm going to do, I'm probably going to do at least another 2 rows. You just chain 3, turn your work, and repeat this exact method that we used for this row. You're going to do that as many rows as you like I said, to finish off the length. Look at how that is just anchoring that color. I just love that. Okay, so go ahead and do that. If you felt that you also needed more length in the sleeves in the end, you can totally do that. I am not going to because I measured properly and I'm very happy with my sleeve length. So once we're done the bottom trim, then we've got one more final touch, and that is to just create a nice finishing collar at the top. So I'll leave you to do your bottom trim, and then I'll meet up with you to finish your top collar. Okay, so I've finished my trim. Look at how sweet that looks. And so I'm going to take my measuring tape here just to show you. So I'm going to measure from the top of the neck down to the bottom, and I have exactly 7 inches in length, which is the exact back to waist measurement for the size I'm creating. Okay, so now we're just going to create a little collar. So I'm going to bring back my pink yarn, and I am going to place a slip knot onto my hook here. And now I'm going to pick up my cardigan. It is right side facing out, and I'm going to start right here in this corner here, and I'm going to insert my hook right into that very first little loop or stitch there, just like that. And I'm going to slip stitch to join my yarn. Nice and easy like that. Okay, and then I'm going to chain 1. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to single crochet here. So I'm going to go back into that same stitch. I'm going to insert my hook and single crochet. And of course, I'm working into the sides of rows, as you can see there. So we're going to do the same technique that we did before when we were down here. So you just want to go into the dips and the ridge rows, the dips and the ridge rows. So that's what we're going to do all the way around. And a lot of it is just kind of seeing what is acceptable to your eye, right? So I'm just going to go in there. You want to be careful not to go down too low as well, because you want to keep a nice even look. Okay, and then here I'm going to go into this loop. And then in the next one, I'm going to go into this little dip here. And every 3 or 4 stitches, I just kind of lay it out to make sure it's not puckering. And we've discussed that before. So there you go. So that's what I'm going to do all the way around. I'm going to keep going. And when I come to this little area here, the joint, I'm just going to meet back up with you. For those of you that are a little newer, I'm just going to meet back up with you just to kind of talk you through coming out around this bend here. Okay, so I've just come across here. I'm ready to kind of come around this corner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch 3 stitches together. So I have this little space just before the seam. So I'm going to insert my hook here. I always like to try to make sure I've got more than 1 loop I'm moving under. So just like that. And now I'm going to work my hook into the seam. So right about there, that's where I sewed everything together along the sides. So I'm going to insert my hook, pick up another loop. So far I've got 3 loops on the hook, and now I'm going to come around to the back edge here, and I'm going to insert my hook into the next little area here, which is going to be right there, and pull up another loop. So I'm going to have 4 loops in total on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 4 of them so that they all become 1 stitch, and so that your work comes nicely around there. And that's my little tail there I'm still trying to work over. And now I just continue as usual. So one right here, and there's the next one there. So I'm just doing a few here so you guys can see. So see how it creates a nice smooth transition? So that's it. That's all you're going to do. So you're going to keep doing single crochet, and when you get to this next seam, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to collect the last kind of area here or stitch that you pick up. You're going to pick up a loop in the seam, and you're going to pick a loop up in the next little stitch area there to create one stitch. Then you're going to continue all the way to the end, and then once you get to the end, I will meet you there. Okay, so I've come to the end of creating my first row of single crochets. Now what we're going to do is we're going to chain one, we're going to turn our work, and now we're going to go back to using our linked single crochet stitch. So what we're going to do is we're going to go right back into that very first stitch, and we're going to place a half double crochet to begin, just like that. And now into that left leg there, we're going to insert and then go into the next stitch. So now we've got stitches to work into, and we're just going to work up our linked single crochet. And we are going to place one into every single stitch until we get to the end of the row. And then what you're going to do is you're going to repeat this for 4 more rows. So in total, you're going to have 5 rows of this linked single crochet stitch for your collar, plus the regular single crochet stitch. So that means you're going to have 6 rows in total for your collar. Of course, you can make it longer, thicker, however you want to look at it, but I'm going to stop after 5 rows. So go ahead and do that, and we are almost done our cardigan. Okay, so our cardigan is pretty much complete, except I am going to do one added little touch here that you don't have to. In the end, I actually did 7 rows. I did the 5 initially, and it was okay, but I ended up adding an extra 2 rows just to create a little bit more height. And really, you could do a few more rows if you want a nice high collar. And there it is. So I am now going to do one final finishing round, and that is I'm going to tidy up these little sides here. So see, they're pretty decent, but I like to do a nice round of just a simple single crochet all the way down. So here we are. I am going to just take you through really quick just to clean this up a little bit. And again, just right around here, you know, when we did those front post stitches, sometimes that first little side there tends to buckle in a little bit. So you do not have to do this, but this is my preference. And if you want to do what I do, then I'm going to show you right here. So I did not snip my yarn off, and I made sure that I finished with a row that was finishing the right side, right? So this is the right side of the work. So now what we're going to do is I'm just going to chain one like that. And then I'm going to go right into that last stitch that I worked into. And I'm just going to go right into that, and I'm going to single crochet. Just like that. So the chain one just gives us a little bit more space to come around the corner there. And now I'm just going to work into the sides of these rows here. And you might just have to eyeball it a little bit. And just insert and single crochet. Okay, and then the next one, I'm going to go right in there. So if I had 7 rows, technically, I should have 7 stitches coming down the way here. Go in there, and then one right there. Okay, and then I'm just going to have a look at it. Still sitting nice and flush. You can see it creates a really nice clean edge. And now I'm going to have stitches to work into, so I'm just going to go into the stitch, and that's what I'm going to do all the way around. Now, just something to be aware of, and actually I'm going to take this one out here. Because these stitches have a little bit of a ridge to them, see how this has a little ridge here? I want to make sure that that gets displayed as well. So I'm not going to work into the stitch from here. As you can see, this stitch has kind of 2 sides to it. You've got the V's that are on this side, and then you've got the V's that are on the other side there. So that's where actually I want to go into. So I don't want to go in through here. I want to go in through the top just like that. Sorry, I don't know why the camera is not focusing. And single crochet. Okay, and then again, I'm going to go in. It looks like you're going in through the top of the stitch, but you're really not. Okay, in through the top. See, you pick up 2 loops every time. So I'm going to do a few of these here. This yarn is a little bit on the splitty side. That's the only thing about this yarn that I would complain about. There we go. So see how that is just giving it a very subtle little ridge. It is subtle, but I do like paying attention to those kinds of details. So you're going to go all the way down. And then once you get to here, it's the same idea. Now you are going to have chains that you're working into because this is the end of the rows. But just take your time and take it nice and easy and just kind of eyeball it, okay? And anytime you come to a corner, right there, so that's going to be a chain. So you're going to want to single crochet, chain 1, and single crochet again back into the same stitch. And then you're going to continue as you were before. You got 1 single crochet into every stitch. And you're going to go all the way around the bottom edge there. You're going to come up to your next corner. You're going to do the same thing. Single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. You will be working into the sides of these rows here. And then all the way back up until you get to the top part of your corner. Here you can slip stitch to join, snip your yarn, and you are complete. So there you have it, guys. This is the 3 block cardigan. I made mine in a small size, but the way we put this together can be created for any size. And I hope that this is giving you a little sense of excitement and a sense of freedom that you can create your 3 block cardigan for any size you desire. Now, if you have any questions about how to construct it and put it together, if anything wasn't clear, please do make sure to drop it for me in the comment box down below. And as always, you know you can email me directly at info@crochetcrafty.com. I love getting your emails. I'm always very happy to help you guys with any questions that you may have. And as always, make sure to come visit me on the website, crochetcrafty.com. Lots of goodies there for you. That's where you'll find a lot of our sizing charts and lists and things like that for to help you with any of your crochet projects. Don't forget, sign up for the monthly newsletter, where I gift you a free written pattern every month for coming and hanging out. And there's lots of behind the scenes, extra photographs of a lot of the projects that we've worked on, some more close-up shots, things like that. Sometimes a still photograph gives us a chance to really study the stitches a little bit closer. So it's harder to do that in a video. So make sure to sign up for the newsletter. And as always, come say hi to me. I am on Facebook and Instagram at The Stitch Sessions. And if you're new here and this is your first time with us and you've enjoyed watching today's tutorial, I invite you to press that subscribe button and don't forget to click the notification bell so you never miss when I upload a brand new tutorial, which is every Wednesday morning. I love having you guys come along with me on my crochet journey. So that's it. That's all for this week, guys. I hope you have an amazing day. As always, take really good care of yourselves, and I will see you guys in next week's session. Bye-bye.